Good evening. Suppose we have a circuit like this and we have to calculate all the currents flowing in the branches. Suppose that the source voltage is 210 volts. The internal resistance of this generator is 1 ohm. R3 is 30. The rest of the resistors have a value resistance of 10 ohms. So, how do we do it? It looks complicated, but I think that it's not. R4 and R5 are equal, so we can say that I4 is equal to I5. This is first thing to say. What we need to calculate is I2 and I3, because if you know, because R4 and R5 are equal, it means that I4 and I5 are equal to I2 over 2. So what we need to calculate is I1, and then we can calculate I2 and I3. To calculate I1, we need the equivalent resistance. So let's calculate it. I will calculate it by the method I told you about. If two resistors are in parallel, we write this, and if they are in series, we write a sign plus. So let's go. R4 and R5 are in parallel. So this is the first step. Second step, R2 is in series. This is the second step. Third step, R3 is in parallel with the three resistors. Okay, and now finally we add R1 and RW, which is the internal resistance of the generator, to calculate the equivalent resistance of this circuit. So let's start. Let's call this one R1 prime, this one R2 prime, and this one R3 prime, and this is RE. This is R4 in parallel with R5, and we know how to calculate the equivalent resistance. It's R4 times R5 over the sum of the two. So it means it's half, it's 10 over 2. It's 5 ohms. R2 prime is R1 prime plus R2, which are in series. So it's 5 plus 10, it's 15 ohms. Now R3 prime, it's R2 prime in parallel with R3. So it means it's R2 prime times R3 over R2 prime plus R3. So it means it's 15 times 30 over 45, and this is 10 ohms, if I'm right. That's right, it's 10 ohms. Now we calculate our E, the equivalent resistance is R3 prime plus R1 plus RW, which is the internal resistance of the generator. So it means it's 10 plus 1, and it's 21 ohms. We can calculate now I1. It's V1 over the equivalent resistance. It's 210 over 21, and it's 10 amps. You see, it's not difficult. So now we can use the current divider method, because we know the main current. We can calculate this current and this current knowing R2 prime, which is here. So R2 prime, we needed to calculate either I3, it's equal to I1, no, it's equal to R2 prime over R2 prime plus R3 times the main current, which is I1, and I2 is equal to R3 over R2 prime plus R3 times I1, and this is equal, R2 prime is 15 over 30 plus 15, 45 times I1, which we have calculated earlier, which is equal to 10, and this is 4330 over 45 times 10, and this is, I think, 1/3, so it means 3.33 amps, I3, and I2 is equal to 6.67 amps. So it means that I4 is equal to I5 is equal to I2, which is equal to 667 over 2, and it's 3.33 amps. And that's it. It looks complicated, but it's easy. And thanks very much.